How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather Sponge 5000, and taking a look at the current radar of the United States, we do have a snowstorm moving through the northeast at this time, as right now it's mainly bringing a relatively large area of snow showers throughout the southern portion of New England and a large portion of upstate New York, as we do see Albany is receiving light snowfall right now, as well as Scranton and extending into Hartford, and even Boston's getting involved with some snowfall. Now, this isn't expected to bring a high amount of snowfall accumulation, maybe around 1 to 3 inches of snowfall you should expect, and we could even see some snow showers in the New York City metropolitan area, so northern New Jersey could get involved as well as New York City. I don't expect much of any accumulation in these areas. It doesn't seem like the snow will be heavy enough for the snowfall to stick on the surface, and so I don't expect any accumulation, and if there is any, it'll be very minuscule. I don't expect it to accumulate on the surface, at least on the roads, where of course the roads are a little bit warmer, so it won't really need to be anything you need to worry about that much in northern New Jersey or New York City. Just be aware that the road conditions could be a little bit more slick as for your evening commute in that area. So if we were to take a look a little bit further southeastward, we do have a relatively large area of heavy rain showers throughout northern Louisiana, extending into Arkansas as well. Little Rock is now gonna just get out of the heaviest of the rainfall. The heaviest of the rainfall has moved to the east of you guys, and we're seeing heavy rainfall as well throughout the eastern portion of Texas. So you definitely need to watch out for this, because this is capable of bringing a major flash flood threat, because associated with some of these thunder showers are rainfall rates that are equivalent to around 1 inch per hour, which is certainly enough to cause significant flash flooding in localized areas. So you definitely need to watch out for that in portions of the southeast, and it should last into tomorrow. However, of course, that's not the only thing we're taking a look at when it comes to storm systems moving through the United States, because if we were to move on into early next week, there is another possibility of a major winter storm impacting the Midwest as well as the Northeast. If we were to continue to move forward with forecasts, we see that we're going to see a pretty long duration where you're going to receive very heavy rainfall right over the same areas of the Southeast, like Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. Pretty much a large portion of the southern Mississippi River Valley is expected to get impacted with very heavy rainfall, as there's a strong ridge just to the east of this trough, which is pretty much making this rainfall just stay over one area, because there's a strong blocking pattern going on along the east coast that's blocking a lot of this precipitation from being able to progress very far to the east. It's not until we're going to see a small upper level trough move through that's going to enhance the instability and enhance the jet stream winds to a point where eventually we will see this rainfall move to the east finally. But by then, the damage will likely already be done here in the southeast, where you should expect a large area of 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. And same goes for a lot of the northeast. It's just going to be a very wet week for you guys in the northeast, and same goes for the portions of the Midwest. The rainfall won't necessarily be as heavy as what you're going to see in the southeast, but certainly enough to make the conditions very dreary. You definitely won't want to go outside very often with rainfall that's this persistent, and it's going to be a cold rainfall as well, so it's definitely going to be uncomfortable to be outside under conditions like this over the next week for the Northeast as well as the Midwest. So definitely keep that in mind. I don't necessarily expect a flooding threat from this, but still something that will maybe just dampen your day overall for at least the next few days. Unfortunately, we could see some snowfall right over Maine, thanks to decent amount of cold air that's still locked in place over northern Maine, and this could bring a heavy amount of snowfall. But outside of that, it seems like the ridging is just a little bit too strong to a point where there's going to be much of any chance for the snowfall to move any further southward than Maine, and the certainty is very high. We're only around 3 days out from this scenario occurring for the Northeast, so it's very unlikely we're going to see a significant enough shift to where that snow would move further eastward. It's mainly going to be relegated towards Maine, but this isn't the snowstorm I'm talking about in this video, or at least I want to focus on in this video, because this next trough that you clearly see moving through the Midwest, that's expected to potentially be our next major winter threat. And if we were to continue to move forward with the forecast, we do see that there is a decent amount of cold air behind it that'll definitely enhance the instability and the convective activity for this storm system. And what's interesting is that there's also going to be a clipper system moving through northern or at least eastern Canada, and what this will do is that this will induce a strong northerly flow that'll keep the cold air a little bit further southward and potentially just south enough to where maybe the more populated areas of the Northeast and the Midwest a little bit further southward get involved with some snowfall. So the key thing we're certainly going to keep an eye on is this trough right here, because this trough could create just enough of a northerly flow to make the cold air be locked in place. So depending on how strong it is, that'll determine who will receive snowfall. But based on what we're seeing with the latest run of the GFS model still relegates the snowfall mainly towards the interior Northeast, which is still something to keep in mind in northern Pennsylvania. I'll say the chance that you receive snowfall in northern Pennsylvania is certainly higher. I definitely wouldn't say it's a high chance at this point, but I'll give it a 50-50 shot in northern Pennsylvania based on what I'm seeing right now. Same goes for upstate. Actually, for upstate New York, I'll give the chance. I'll make the chance a little bit higher, more like a 60% chance. I do believe there will be enough cold air right around upstate New York and the interior Northeast for you guys to more likely than not see snowfall out of this. But the question remains whether or not the cold air will move southward into New York City, into Boston, into Philadelphia for you guys to receive snowfall. And it's not just the Northeast that we have talked about, it's also the Midwest. We clearly see that Indiana pretty much entirely sees a rain event, more so southern Indiana, but we do see a little bit of a transition into snow for portions of Ohio, where cities like Cleveland would get involved with snowfall in a scenario like this. So we're 120 hours out, so there's still time for the forecast, for the computer models to definitely get more confident with the forecast. But I'll certainly keep you guys updated once we get a better idea of the trajectory as well as the amount of cold air in the Northeast and the Midwest, to the point where we could get a more confident forecast within the next few days. So definitely stay tuned for more updates for the Northeast as well as the Midwest. But in terms of the timing of when you should expect impacts, so you should begin to see impacts for the Northeast, I'll say very late on Saturday into very early on Sunday. And for places like Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky, it should be a little bit earlier than that. Probably early Saturday evening, that's when you should first receive the rainfall. And then for the Southeast, you should begin to see the thunder shower activity move in right around Friday night into Saturday morning. But it's really going to become more consolidated by the time we approach Saturday evening into early Sunday. So definitely pay close attention to this in the Northeast and the Midwest. But what I want to show you is on the backside, as the storm system continues to head further eastward, there could be that, I'll say, the chance you receive snowfall a little bit later during the forecast is more likely for places like New York City and the coastal Northeast in general, a little bit further southward, because on the backside the temperatures will be a lot colder. So this could be the opportunity for places like New York City and Philadelphia to receive snowfall, and even Boston to receive more snowfall on the backside. We're gonna have to see if there's gonna be a lot of moisture on the backside of this storm system as well, because there might not be enough convective activity for these areas to receive any sort of significant snow out of this. But certainly something that we're going to be aware of when making this forecast, because the backside could produce maybe a decent amount of snowfall. Now, if we were to take a look at the GFS model is a bit more confident that on the backside of this system, on the western side of this system, that's where the coastal Northeast cities like New York City and Philadelphia could receive the best possibility of snowfall. So if we were to take a look at that, based on what the GFS model is stating, we do see, let me go to the 18Z run, that's the most reliable model run as of at least right now. That's the most recent computer model run. We do see a decent amount of snowfall right over New York City, portions of Pennsylvania. Philadelphia gets involved with some snowfall. So if there is enough convective activity on the western side, that'll play a key role in giving you guys more snowfall. But at least for right now, it seems like both of the computer models, at least initially speaking, are bringing a rain event to New York City and Philadelphia, and even Boston. Boston would have a slightly higher chance of snowfall than New York City and Philadelphia, since this storm system will move more from a westerly to easterly direction, so the cold air will be more parallel rather than, I'll say, in a vertical orientation. So that certainly allows Boston to have a higher shot of snowfall when the cold air is more at a horizontal orientation. So we do see that a decent amount of snow does occur. And in terms of how much snowfall in the GFS models scenario, taking a look at that, this is a rainfall. Let me show you guys the snowfall. Let this load up. I do apologize for this. And taking a look at what the GFS model is stating, look at this. We do have a relatively large area of 1 to 3 inches of snowfall right over New York City, Philadelphia. And for the interior Northeast, however, it's a lot more snowfall. Upstate New York could maybe see a little bit more than 6 inches of snowfall. This includes Albany, and the southern portions of New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine could get involved. And even the Midwest, where northern Indiana and southern Michigan, Cleveland, and into Illinois, you guys also could get involved. So we're definitely going to need to pay close attention to the trajectory and how much cold air there is. It really all depends on the position of these two ridges right here, because if this ridge is a little bit stronger, then we should expect a track a little bit further westward, which would relegate the snowfall a little bit further westward and give less of a possibility of snowfall along the northeast coast. But if we were to see the ridge a little weaker, then the opposite would occur, where the northeast coast could have a higher shot of snowfall. And same goes for the amount of cold air and how strong this trough is moving through. Just a lot of factors we're going to need to pay close attention to over the next week or so. So definitely stay tuned for more updates, as the forecast will certainly be get more confident over the next few days. But taking a look at what the European model is stating, the European model is showing a slightly similar forecast, but the snowfall is certainly a lot further eastward. We don't see that snowfall extend into Indiana or Illinois. It's mainly towards northern Pennsylvania, as well as a large portion of upstate New York and New England, and even Boston gets involved with heavy snowfall on this. But New York City, Philadelphia, no snowfall in the European model scenario. So while the forecast is at least around the ballpark between the two computer models, there's still key differences that could determine whether you experience snowfall in New York City or not. So definitely pay close attention to that. But that's it for now, guys, and I thank you guys for watching.